A very warm welcome to everyone present in this meeting, and it's indeed my honor to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Anudeep Yekula. I am Dr. Neha Rao, an intern at KIMS Bangalore, and it's indeed such a pleasure to have such a big name with us today. Dr. Yekula started his medical journey from Guntur Medical College and graduated as a valedictorian with many gold medals scholarship fund. He started off his USMLE journey with having in mind becoming a neurosurgeon as well as a scientist. He worked with Dr. Bob Carter at the Center of Excellence for Research in Exosome Sciences, Massachusetts General Hospital, Harvard Medical School, and developed several blood tests for diagnosis and monitoring of different brain tumors. He has developed novel diagnostic assays that are currently undergoing clinical translation and is also a co-inventor for 2 innovative patents. It's such an honor to have you today. He received several awards, including the prestigious Journal of Neuro-Oncology Award from the CNS, which is the Congress of Neurological Surgeons, and also a 7-year grant funding from the Glioblastoma Foundation. He later joined as a general surgery preliminary internship at the Yale New Haven Hospital, Yale School of Medicine, and has currently matched into neurosurgery at University of Minnesota. So thank you so much today, Dr. Yekula, for joining us. I would also love to introduce my team from Mission Brain India. So we have Dr. Shreya Sriram, who is the president of Mission Brain India chapter, and she is currently a postdoc fellowship neurosurgery research fellow at the University of Duke, North Carolina. We also have Dr. Godugu Swati Ashraya, who is the vice president of Mission Brain India chapter, and it's honestly like we're here because of her today. So thank you so much, Dr. Swati. We have with us Dr. Kaushik, who is also a researcher from Duke University, North Carolina. And he's in charge of all our missions, and we hosted a conference with him last year from the Mission Brain India team. We have with us Dr. Lakshita, who is also an intern just like me in KIMS Medical College, and it's an honor to have you too. I would extend a warm welcome to all the participants. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I would like Swati to go ahead and just introduce Mission Brain to all our participants. Swati, you're on mute.
Yes, yeah. So Mission Brain Foundation was founded by Dr. Alfredo Quinones Hinojosa and co-founded by Dr. Michael Lawton. So they are like we don't have to have any introduction about them, especially because the things that they have achieved in the field are phenomenal, and what they do out of the neurosurgery that they do is they extended their hand towards all the medical students and doctors, founding this amazing organization which stands for treating, empowering, and educating, which is what we stand for, and all of our activities are regarding this. So this is a brief introduction about Mission Brain Foundation, and we also have an Aveksha for Seva Smart Clinic, which is founded in Yaldur, which is run by our own team, and it is funded by us, where we give free treatment to the poor, and we give free investigations, and where we do free medical camps and screening. So this is what we do at Aveksha.
Thank you so much, Swati. I'd like Dr. Shreya to take over the mic and speak a few words about our journey as the Mission Brain India chapter and how we're here today, where we are. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Anudeep. It's an honor. You are an inspiration. I'm so happy to be here today. It's amazing just to be a part of Mission Brain India and to start Aveksha. So first, initially, we started off registering as the India chapter. And I still remember very vividly how we planned out the application and applied. And we also met the head of the department at NIMHANS when we applied to be the Mission Brain India chapter. And I still think that video is one of the best, and because he beautifully entails how neurosurgery works in India. And I think that is one of the reasons why we and we are trying to educate, empower, and treat. And this wasn't enough. We thought we should create a Aveksha for Seva in coordination with Mission Brain to serve this purpose. And then we went on and created a smart clinic. We also have the support of Dr. Shivram, who's an internal medicine professor at Mayo Rochester, and Dr. Q and Dr. Lawton have been a constant support. And I'm so glad to have you here today. You truly are an inspiration.
Thank you so much, Shreya. Yes, Shreya was the first person who foresee, chapters in Mission Brain and constantly connected with Dr. Q. And it's truly an honor to have her guide us through this entire process. And we couldn't have done it without you. Without any further ado, we would like to start off with the interview. So, Dr. Anudeep, how has your journey been so far, and why did you choose neurosurgery in particular?
Firstly, thank you so much for the kind introduction, and it's a pleasure to meet you all. It's amazing to see how all of you from different parts of this country have come together, and took on this mission and work with leaders on the field of neurosurgery for this mission of improving neurosurgical care. And before I talk about myself, one of the things that I've experienced being in India is that there's just a dichotomy of care. There is government practice, there is private practice, and people in government sectors do receive good care, but there are a lot of people who are not receiving the right care because of financial reasons, and they are not able to afford the standard of care or the best care because they cannot afford it. And we do not have a robust insurance system to support people's care. So there are so many fundamental problems that we have that we are facing right now. And being in India, I think we have a very intimate understanding of these, and having trained in good medical schools, we have an understanding of this. And going to a different country and studying sometimes is perceived as moving away from the problems. But I want to reemphasize that it's not running away, it's learning. It's going to learn how people from different countries, forget US, different countries have been able to apply their healthcare models and provide the best care and bringing it back. And that's one of the reasons why I love the Mission Brain initiative, and why I wanted to connect with you folks in particular, because this is my way of bringing back, this is my way of connecting, and as a team we are stronger, and I think we can make a difference by bringing what we learn from different countries and bridging that gap that we have. And I think the highlight of this talk is not about moving away from India, but it should be about going out, learning, but still maintaining those ties to help our country. Because at the end of the day, we are Indians, and that fundamental thing that our people also deserve as much care as people everywhere else is something that is very personal to me. And I really appreciate all of you, and I really appreciate Dr. Q, Dr. Lawton. Of course, they're the giants in the field, and they are giants in the field not because they can do good surgery, because they can stand as inspiration. They can stand as leaders to inspire the next generation, and that defines people like them, and that's why they are such inspiration. And I myself was lucky enough to have Dr. Carter as an inspiration, who is another giant in neurosurgery. And all these personalities, they have created such great, ecosystems in their own institutions, and which are expanding all over, which help attract talents. Like I'll slowly go into my story. Like I started off as you, like doing my medical school in Guntur. So of course, good medical colleges doesn't mean that you need to get opportunity wherever you want, right? Your gold medals don't mean that you deserve an opportunity. So when I went to do rotations, it was mostly for experience and trying to understand how medicine is practiced there. And during that time, I've had an opportunity to connect with Dr. Carter. And he has a huge basic science lab, and they develop blood-based tests for diagnosis of brain tumors. And it's such an amazing experience for me, because he didn't give me an opportunity because of my achievements or because of my caliber, because he gave me an opportunity because I wanted an opportunity, because he liked the way I spoke. He wanted to give me a chance. So you would be amazed to see how the most subtle of things, the way you talk, the way you behave with others, the way you carry yourself, qualities like these are more important than what your CV can ever say. So being a wholesome person is not just getting a huge CV, but becoming a better person, becoming a person who is somebody who people will like is also equally important. So neurosurgery, my father's a surgeon, so he is a general surgeon in India, and he has operated on every organ except for the brain. So for me, brain has always been a fascination. So that is why I applied to neurosurgery sub-internship. And what I've seen is that do not allow somebody to operate on the part of the body that defines you. The way you talk, the way you move, the way you walk, it takes a different level of trust. And as a neurosurgeon, the patients have tremendous trust and faith in you to let them operate on them, right? So for me, that level of trust was something that was unparalleled compared to any other field. And what I've also seen is that in the field of neurosurgery, again, I'm not lessening any other field, but you are standing in front of the patient and you are the only option, because your interventions mean the difference between life and death, and your mistakes too make the difference between life and death. And I love that level of responsibility. And looking at what you're able to accomplish and the difference that you make is phenomenal. And you can see how patients are grateful to you. And it also makes you humble, because you are not God. You cannot save everybody. There are a lot of times where you are not able to give great outcomes, but that's a part of life, and that's a part of medicine, and that's a part of how human life works. So it's humbling, as well as it's giving you that level of responsibility. And it's that combination of factors that drew me to neurosurgery. And I love that. Yeah. Sorry, a long answer.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think it's beautiful the way you put it across. I think all of us today, all the chapters with us today have this common goal to give back to our society, and we all want to do something to do that, as well as, come up in our own careers and finding our way. And definitely the subtle things are some things which take us way beyond what we expect. I would also like to ask you how to just briefly enumerate how your journey has been throughout your medical school, and how you prepared for, matching into residency. Because all of us here are really inspired and, on the brink of trying to get somewhere in the next phase of our lives.
Yeah. I think medical school is a very defining time of anybody's life, especially in the journeys that we embark upon. I think during my experience, it's not the AIMS. It's not like the best institute ever, but it's a very good institute. So during that time, the exposure that I had was not too much. I knew that, people do USMLE. I knew that people go there and practice. I didn't know the difficulty. I didn't know the nuts and bolts. There weren't people on YouTube making videos for us to go and watch. So the amount of resource that we have is just like in bits and pieces, where you know that, okay, you have to take steps, you have to do this, you have to do this. But before that, I knew that being good in medicine is important. So, first goal for you should always be mastering the subject, right? And preparing for USMLE is a great way to master a subject because the way they question you, the way they make you approach clinical scenarios is phenomenal. And I think before I was attracted to being a resident in the US, I think the USMLE format of questioning was completely different to what kind of examinations we take, where it's mostly knowledge based and not application based. So when I was doing like step questions, it was I felt that I understood more. I felt that I was trying to get to the roots of the subject and trying to apply it in clinical scenarios. So for me, I incorporated USMLE format of studying during my medical school, and that has paid off really well. And the second important aspect during medical school training is, to seek opportunities, to see what's out there, which you all are doing. But what I've seen is that our medical schools are like closed fish bowls. We have great facilities, but we don't have too much global exposure for us to understand what's happening, not just in the state, not just in the country. We don't have too much of exposure. We don't have too much of opportunity. And I realized that opportunity comes with research because that gives you an avenue to like go explore and see what others are doing. So, within my limited means, I was able to attend a couple of conferences, like, of course, like just in India. I didn't like go abroad or anything. So that gave me a sense of, okay, what others are doing, what people are doing, how they're presenting, and to connect with people just to get an understanding. But, I think that's something that all of you have to capitalize. Don't disregard what resources you have, because that's the foundation that you're building, that gives you the raw material to like publish. Just, it can be a case report, it can be a small systematic review, but that's where you fine tune and you gain your basic skills. So use the resources in your own institutions. Find neurosurgeons, neurologists. It doesn't matter. Like, just understand how to put together a manuscript, how to formulate a research question, how to construct everything that's needed for you to get to the end of that paper. And that's really important to use those resources. And, with the virtual format, everything has become easy. You don't need to like fly to New Delhi to like attend a conference there. This gives us more flexibility for even it breaks that financial boundaries where people need a lot of money to go and travel, but you just sit in your own house, take your phone and attend any conference anywhere in this world. So use those resources, because we are blessed with this. Our generation is blessed with social media. If we are able to use and capitalize that, we know what events are happening all over the world, and we can attend and know what's happening, right? And know people, and that's a great way to connect. And those two are the fundamental things I would say have helped me. And once I started the journey, I came here to do research during my intern years. So, that was my medical school experience.
Wonderful. I think tapping on the same point, Dr. Shreya would love to ask more about research and give us all an idea about how exactly to go about this. She herself is currently pursuing her research, so she'll continue with the microphone.
Hi again. So I just want to ask, I know we all apply to a lot of research spots, and what do you think made you stand out? Because I remember just getting one interview at Harvard and they made me go through like multiple people. And I thought it was the only university that made me go through multiple levels of interview for one spot. What do you think made you stand out? Because you went on and pursued research at Harvard.
Yeah. So, firstly, let's talk a little bit about finding a position, and let's then talk about getting a position, right? So, finding a position, do you all know about Google? So, you should just Google, right, neurosurgery research positions, and you'll be able to find them, okay? And they'll ask you for a few things, okay? And then you have to take that time to put together a good CV, put together a good personal statement. Again, don't think that these are new things. These are things that you have to develop, right? If you want to come do work here, you need to fine tune these skills of putting together a good research. If you're applying to research, your CV should be research oriented. If you're applying to a residency position, that's a different CV. Okay, listing all your academic achievements will not help a researcher because they are interested in knowing what kind of research skills you have. So having that judgment is also important, right? And then identifying people who are active in research. Go to every institution, have people who are doing research, find those attendings, find those research scientists, and personally email them requesting a position. Again, the way you email is also important. The way you structure your question, understanding and respecting that they have a million other things to do and they are very busy. If they do not respond, you can send them a reminder after a week, not after 2 hours, right? So having that sensitivity of their timeline is also important. If you keep bugging them with 20 emails a day, no, they're not going to respond to you. So having that sensitivity is also important, right? That's something that we are not used to, that email mode of communication, because we are mostly like take a phone call, get things done type of people, right? So that's also important to learn how to communicate. So those are the two major avenues, and people post on Twitter or on their home pages. So it's a lot of legwork. You will face. I mean, I have sent at least 200 emails, and it doesn't come easy. Okay, now I sit here and talk, but I want to be honest, right? It's hard. You face rejection, but that's how you fine tune, right? When you get rejected from a spot, you ask them, is there something that I can improve, and improve that. Again, when somebody rejects you, you're not going to meet them again. It's fine. Just take something from that encounter. So that's what I did. Before, even in Harvard, like when I applied and all, I had to go through multiple people. So the thing, like I told you, so firstly, of course, you need to have a good CV, you need to have a little bit of experience. And my experience in the terms of research was not too much. It had a couple of case reports, and I've presented at 2 to 3 platforms, not too much. Absolutely not too much, maybe comparable to a lot of you or even less than a lot of you. So, but when I went and did my sub-internship, I was able to perform well. That gave them an impression that I was truly interested and a truly reliable person. And when I scheduled an interview to talk to Dr. Carter and my lab mentor, Dr. Leonora Belay, these were the first 2 people that I had to speak with in order to get the job. So, firstly, they've seen CVs, they've seen the best of best CVs. Don't ever feel that your CV can ever impress them. So, your CV can only take you so far. So when you're junior, just know how to be humble. I think I asked my lab mentor 2 years down the road, why do you, I asked Dr. Belay, why did you give me the option? You had the simple reason that she gave was, you had so much energy, I simply couldn't say no. It just takes that little bit of kindness to get jobs. Why does somebody respond to somebody? It's just, for me, it's luck. I'm not going to say that I'm this amazing superstar. No, I'm not. I'm an ordinary guy. So they were kind enough to give me an opportunity, but the difference was I know how to use an opportunity, and that's what I want you all to do. When you get an opportunity, make the most of it. So, we for you it's Duke who responded. For somebody else would be the one who would respond. You just keep marking until somebody responds, right? It's as simple as that. But the one who responds, doesn't matter if it's Harvard or Duke or any small institute, that's your guy, right? Because they wanted to take a chance on you. So we have to respect not the names of the institutions, but the people who believe in you. That's more important. And for me, when I started my research, of course, I didn't know anything about basic science. I didn't know how to hold a pipette. I didn't know sequencing, but I learned. I spent time. I have, in 6 months, I was able to perfect all the things. And that is so important in research, that they are able to trust you. So you can be prepared a little, but you cannot be prepared for everything. Preparing a little, and you can work on knowing statistics, knowing how to do basic statistics and stuff like that. But trying to read research papers from a very early stage will allow you to understand how to study literature, right? Now we talk about standards of care and all this. How did people find out? It's through research, and research is not something going out of the way. And that's the thing I loved about the approach that they have, because in India, I was so used to saying this is how things are done, right? This is how things should be done. This is the standard of care. But who told you that, right? They have done research to tell you that this is how things are done. And when I went to the US, I've seen them questioning every single thing, questioning why things are done this way, questioning how we can improve things, questioning how we can use this to do that. This concept of combining innovation and discovery with clinical practice just blew my mind. And I am always a person who don't like to follow the usual standard of care. I like to think differently, and that alignment, that's what made it made that journey a little easy for me, because I'm not trying to be a researcher, but I'm trying to learn how to question. So that was a difference in thought process that I was able to get. And during your research time, if you at all match into a good research position, you need to spend time to understand the fundamentals. You should never be the person who just does what people say. But if you are given a project, know the question, know what steps are needed to get to the final point. Understand what technical and biostatistical skills are needed. You spend your time to learn and perfect them. And once you've perfected them, make sure you are able to perform very well in every experiment that you were given and produce reliable results. With science, the results can be good or bad, but for Dr. Carter, when I present my results to Dr. Carter, there is always a great consistency. And he always tells oh, that looks like a work of neurosurgeon. That's what he used to compliment me. So even in the smallest of things, they look for traits. So make sure you perform very well in the smallest of things. And in my first year, I just got 2 publications. In the second year, I got 13 publications. So it's cumulative, right? So don't expect you going and becoming a star. It takes time, it takes effort. So respect the journey, respect the time, and respect the hard work that is needed. And once you have those elements in place, they will have more trust in you, and you can use the resources of that lab. Doesn't matter Harvard, Duke, these are names, but what you make out of is what your story is going to be, right? I came from Guntur Medical, who knows Guntur Medical College, but then you guys know me, right? So it's you are the material. So what you make out of your opportunity, your resources, is what defines you. It's not the names. Don't go after names. Go after yourself. Go after people who trust you. Go after people who believe in you. Go after the people who are willing to take a chance on you. They are more precious than these names can ever be. Okay?
Thank you, Dr. Anudeep. I think you summarized everything. I think the next 2 following questions were, how do you make your researcher more productive? And so you pretty much answered that. You told them how exactly to do and what to do during the research year. And a lot of people ask me, like I interviewed for a lot of spots, and a lot of people ask me, how did you get into so many spots? And I said, just look happy. If you like the branch, you will naturally look happy, and that's all they look for. Yeah, and I completely resonate with what you said. Yeah. Say we are in a position where we have a lot of options or a few options. How do we narrow it down? How do we pick a mentor?
So for me, it has been easy. He picked me. But when you have options, the thing that you need to look at is who are the people who you are able to connect with more, because lab work or research work is more intimate in the terms of you have a lot of one-on-one time with people, right? First, look at the size of the lab, look at the productivity, and try to understand how good the lab is, right? If there is a very, very small lab versus a very productive lab, there are two ways to go about it. With smaller labs, you have more opportunities to go high and do a lot. With bigger labs, you are mostly an instrument, but you have a lot of resources. So that's one way of thinking about it. And the second way of thinking about it is productive big labs already have the machinery, already have the protocols in place to produce, and they have that infrastructure and funding. So, and the third most important thing is the people, right? So if your mentor is somebody that is kind and have, greeted you warmly and they expressed interest, look at that level of interest too. I think that's also important, because coming from a different country, there are a lot of factors that we face. We have to adjust to the culture, the language, the day-to-day lives, and we also have to learn research, and some of us have some of these steps to take during that time. So we are dealing with a lot, and we want people who are understanding. So you always need to be honest upfront and tell them what your goals are, what you're here for. Of course, you love neurosurgery, but it's ultimately you want to be a resident, or you want to go back. You have to absolutely be honest about what your goals are and see how the other person responds. And that support in their responses is more important, because if you need a week to study and take your exam, they should be willing to accommodate those things. So you need to have that level of understanding between yourself and your mentor. And, they're the ones who ultimately guide you through the nitty-gritty things of the day-to-day, and they're the ones who are going to give you that final push that's needed for you to match. So picking a mentor is really important, and these are the fundamental things that I think about when thinking of the mentor. Well, I was lucky, so again, everybody is different, and trying to read them and respecting them and trying to respect the person who gave you the opportunity. And everybody has their own styles, and even if you go into residency, you are dealing with so many different personalities, with so many different styles. So being in medicine is being with a lot of types of people. So learning that skill set is also really important. So you need to work on that too. So, yeah.
Yeah, so recently Dr.Q was saying how we all should be dealing with the millennial generation because they are the previous generation. And he was saying how it's so important that we as millennials, we don't do any work if we don't think it's meaningful. But in their generation, they kind of followed through and they did whatever their mentors told them to. Yeah. And they were this is exactly similar in the research scenario too, because they have to be able to give you time according to your goals too. And having that understanding is of utmost important. Yeah. So one last question. How do we pick basic science research versus clinical research? I know we all get into this thing and mostly labs do both and we're kind of stuck. So how do we make that decision?
So I think it was the opportunity that led to my decision. You need to understand what it takes in each of them. Both of them are based on their own with clinical research, when you're dealing with clinical trials, you're dealing with a lot of work in the terms of gathering data and getting that together. So time to publication is different, but you understand how to structure clinical trials. With data research, where you're like, studying big data and trying to get outcomes, trying to figure out which way is the best one, you need to have a lot of data skills. You need to be able to write code and stuff like that. But in basic science, you need to be able to perfect a lot of fundamental techniques, and you need to be able to think 25 steps forward to get to that point. There's a different mindset that's needed to each of that. But the thing that you need to see which opportunity knocks your door, right? And if you have things to pick, look at what excites you and what interests you, knowing fully well that each road has challenges of its own. But the purpose of a research mentor is also to train you, right? So it's not like you're coming equipped with every set of knowledge. They're also going to train you. So know that you're not expected to know everything, but be the person who is willing to learn everything. So that mindset is important. And it doesn't matter which one, right? For me, I think the path picks you, and you need to give your 100%. Doesn't matter which one. There's global research where you're trying to address global issues and trying to find answers. Every field is amazing and brilliant on its own. So apply broadly, right? Apply broadly and see which opportunities you're getting. And if you have options, choose the one that suits your mindset. If you like numbers, go with that. If you like to work with your arm, like your hands, and try to do basic science. But it just depends on the opportunities that you have. And when you have that opportunity, make the most of it. So that kind of being open and being flexible is what will get you farther. So once you get to that point, use the resources, take help. And once you are given some resources that you can use to build, it's all about perfecting those skills early on, and that'll make you more productive. Yeah.
Thank you. Just one last note. Do you think, we always have this dilemma to publish these many number of papers before we apply? So I feel like clinical research is much easier to get it published because basic science takes longer. What is your take on that?
Yeah, basic science takes so long. The point is the science has to work. If it doesn't work, you don't have the paper. And that's the challenge with basic science, because it needs to work. Your question needs to make sense, and it takes time. And there's also factors of luck involved where, for me, it worked out relatively quickly. So I was able to get a good number of publications. And I was also working on some clinical projects on the side to get the volume too. I always believe that you need the volume for people to turn their heads and look at you, but you need those standout papers to show that you've done something that's meaningful. If you write 100 case reports, it means nothing. But if you have one great basic science paper, it means that you've done something meaningful, that you've done deep. So don't go after numbers, but go after quality, right? Go after things that are meaningful, and your mentor is the person who is going to guide you to tell you which is the right balance between good research versus just numbers. So have that balance of quantity and quality. Okay, so make sure you have some papers that are your original work, that you're first author on, that you have taken from inception to conclusion, that are and presenting in conferences like Congress of Neurological Science Surgeons. And there are a lot of great platforms. And if you go there, present your work, you get a little bit of feedback. If your work is reaching platforms, you know the quality, right? So use the platforms that are available to make sure your work is being acknowledged. So that is also important, and use small case reports, case series to get some volume. There's no hard cutoff, but know that neurosurgery is extremely competitive, and it takes a lot of papers for people to acknowledge. So, I would say again, the numbers are not at all defining, but you need numbers too. I'll be honest, you need numbers too, at least 30 plus, with some standout papers. And let me highlight something that you haven't asked about: clinical experience. One of the fundamental things that I've realized during this journey is that they are not, people interviewing you are not familiar with the clinical training that you undergo in your home institutions. And that's the bigger challenge than research ever is. Okay. Yeah, you spend some time, you spend 3-4 years. It takes time. So spend some good time. Don't spend 6 months and say, I'm ready to apply. No, it takes time, right? So spend that time, but know that the question is not if you're going to be a good researcher, but if you're going to be a good clinician. That's the bigger question, right? Neurosurgery is such an intense field. I'm telling you, like general surgery was tough. Neurosurgery it's a beast on its own, and you're dealing with a huge, humongous service where every decision that you make has direct consequences. So they need to know that you are the person that they can trust with decision making, with taking those clinical decisions and making sure that those patients are doing well, right? So you need to, before showing them that you're a great researcher, you need to show them that you're a great clinician. That's the bigger question. So doing sub-internships is extremely important. And I know that we're all facing challenges getting good sub-internships. And that is the reason why I had to take 1 year off to do, surgery internship to, understand how EPIC works, understand how the systems work, understand how to interact on a day-to-day basis. So you need to show them, again, research is important, but clinical is equally, if not more important. So the balance is really important. So spend time during doing sub-internships. If needed, an year of clinical training, a year of what is that called? The pre-residency fellowships. University of Minnesota has one. That's also important. And people who do residency training in the home country also have an advantage because they are like trained. So don't focus all on research, but focus also on clinical experience, because trust me, that's more important. And that's where the questions come. That's where they need the trust, right? So it's hard. The opportunities are not there, but it's up to us to find those opportunities. And again, everybody's story is different. So fine tune your application, fine tune your journey based on your circumstances, and have open conversations with your mentors. Again, that's what my mentor, Dr. Carter, helped me with. He told me that nobody's questioning your research. Spend some time doing internship, and it's easier for you to establish yourself both research wise and clinical wise, right? So that's where a mentor comes in to fine tune your journey to the destination that you are planning for. And also know to be flexible, okay? Because when people are on visa, we have a timeline. Try to understand what visa you're on, what are the restrictions of that visa, and plan your journey accordingly. You cannot be blind to all these things and expect things to work out. They take time, they take planning. So make sure you plan those steps far ahead so that your visa restrictions do not become major hurdles, right? So use judgment, talk to people who have been through that to understand the nitty-gritty details. Visa things are always going to be a pain. So, right, having that pre-planning is also important. And I've told this in my prior interviews, something where you need to step back every 3 months to see if you're advancing in your careers. If you're doing research, if you're doing clinical, if you're doing internship, just step back and be a third person, look at how you're doing. If you are in a research position and you have nothing to show, you have only received bad comments, and maybe that something is not working, you either go rectify or try to you should ask feedback to see what's going wrong. So having that objective judgment is what will help you to fine tune your career pathway. So take a step back, analyze, reinforce, and make sure you're heading in the right direction. Don't just go blindly and expect miracles to happen. Have backup plans, have backup options, and be open-minded in the approach, and that's what will help you. So it's a very hard journey. You are competing with the best of the best in the world, and it takes a lot for you to achieve. So know that opportunities, papers are not the only things, but there are so many other moving pieces that you need to align for you to get to that point. Okay? And everybody's story is different. And I'm not trying to demotivate you, but have that sense of awareness into what you're getting into. And I'm sure all of you are brilliant, but it takes the next level of planning for you to get to the next stage. So, yeah.
Thank you. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anudeep. I think we all got goosebumps in the last part. Thank you, Dr. Shreya. I think as a researcher, you aptly pointed out many things, and all of us, really, it was an eye-opening session. Next, I would like to ask Dr. Kaushik Sriram and Dr. Lakshita to go ahead and ask a few questions from their side.
Mm-hmm. I love how you're tag teaming and interviewing. It's nice.
We know that there is importance in networking. Can you tell me how you approached it?
Okay. So that's true. Networking is really important. Like I was telling and highlighting about conferences and social media, you can use social media to network. Okay. So going to conferences will help you understand who are the leaders in the field, what kind of work they're doing. For example, there is an institute that's doing a particular session on brain tumors. You can visit that virtually, right? You don't need to go in person. And once you're done with the meeting, you can reach out to that particular person who is a speaker and say that you're very excited. It was exciting to listen to their work, and you can request you can ask if they have some positions, and I would love to work with you. Kind of things like that is what will open that channels. And if you are doing some internship, that's a great time to talk to everybody in the field, in the institution that you are. And people are so active on social media, you would be surprised. So go to Twitter, have a professional account. Okay. Instagram is for our generation, but the Dr. Lawton generation and all, they're super active on Twitter. You would be surprised. Are they operating? Are they spending time on Twitter? You'd be surprised. So look at what they're doing, and you can always follow their stories. It's so inspiring, right? They are sharing their day-to-day activities in the terms of what they're doing. So and when there's a time where you actually connect with them, you can talk about those things, and people like when you pay attention to their things. So, use social media, use Twitter, use conferences, and that's how you network. And if you are in research, you have a million opportunities to actually schedule meetings, go visit in person, talk to them. It's like, again, when you talk to somebody, having that opening conversation, right? I'm so and so, I'm so and so. Talk a little bit about them. People like attention, so tell them that I've been following your work. Again, I'm being honest, okay? So tell them this is the work that I've seen, and it was very exciting. Just wanted to connect with you. And they are open to conversations. They're all humans, they're all people, and you'll be amazed to see how simple everybody is. It's not until you meet them you'll know how humble, how amazing everybody is, and how open they are. In an email, there's a lot of impersonal conversation. So emails are very impersonal, but having that kind of conversations in such formal, semi-formal settings will open doors. And neurosurgery is a very small community. Like, everybody knows everybody. So it's easy to develop those connections very early on, and you would be amazed to see how they flourish as time passes on. So that's a great question, and get your phones out, get your Twitter accounts up.
Thank you, Kaushik. Thank you, Dr. Anudeep. I think over to now Dr. Swati to have a fun, short, rapid fire round.
Oh my God. And also LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also important. LinkedIn. Yeah.
LinkedIn. Okay. So actually we don't want to put you on a spot here, but still,
okay,
we're gonna ask you a few questions. So this is based on like general events in life, right? So we have seen your interviews with Dr. Zishan Mansoori and Dr. Manik Madan. So preliminary, whatever your journey was, like we know most of it, but we now want to know other aspects of you, because today we are not only sharing your journey with us, but we're also celebrating you today. So yes, so I'll start with the questions. So how do you define success? I'll give you two options. You just have to choose one, okay? Now,
okay.
I would rather...
Thank you for making it easy.
I'd rather reframe it like, what do you think is more important to be successful? Hard work or talent? This is rapid fire, doctor. You have to choose one really fast.
Hard work wins over talent. Yeah.
Okay. So next one. If you had to be a surgeon, apart from neurosurgery, I'll give you two options. Choose one. What would you rather choose? Orthopedics or gynecology?
Gynec, I can't do bones.
Gynec, that was surprising indeed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the next one. So there is a quote. You just tell us if you agree or disagree with it. Your emotions should not outweigh your intelligence. Do you agree or disagree with it?
Definitely agree. And that's where, the stepping back every 3 months helps, because every day is so emotional. There are so many, personal feelings that go on, successes, happiness, disappointments. And when you step back, you are able to distance yourself from your emotions and objectively see how progress is. And that's where, again, you feel the emotions of life every single day. And that's the point of living, right? It works, it doesn't work, you're tired, you're exhausted, it's cold, it's warm, you miss home food, you miss your mama. All these things are a part of your life. And, there is big picture and there's small things in life. So make sure you feel every emotion of your life, but make sure you step back and see if you're heading in the right direction. So don't miss out on the small things for big things.
Wonderful. Yeah. So the next one is, what is the one thing you miss about India in the US and vice versa? About US in India.
I miss the home food. Like, they sell Indian food here, they Americanize it. It's not the same. It's not the same. So my mom keeps sending pickles. Like, I'm a South Indian. I'm a spice person, so she sends me stuff I really miss. But my mom visited like last year, and she cooked all the delicious food. I miss food. That's irreplaceable. And movies, like, for us, movies is such a big part of growing up. Going to a movie with friends, having some biryani, all these things are so Indian. It's not the same here. The halls are empty. You don't have that aura around here. So I really miss that. Yeah.
Okay. So what is the thing that you miss in India about US when you go to visit or something?
I think this country is amazing in the terms of giving people an opportunity. I think it was difficult for me to get opportunities in India than in the US. I think people are more open and they're more accepting, and you'd be surprised. In India, people are, again, maybe my biases or maybe my experiences, but I feel that Indians are not as open to accepting. There are so many boundaries that we have, like religion, communities, caste. We are in our fish bowls. We are not accepting. But here I feel that people are more open. They are open to talent. They're open to other people and you would be surprised to see people come from different parts of the world, and they work together, and they love to know about your stories. So I love that feeling of inclusivity that I've seen here. And it's amazing how they have, and that's the reason why they're advancing, because they're open and they're accepting. It doesn't matter which color your skin is, which country you come from. It's the talent. It's you as a human being that matters more than anything. And as Indians, we need to learn that. And we need to make sure that wherever we are, we champion that culture of inclusivity. We need to shed all those boundaries that our prior generations have passed on. We need to let them go, and we need to be role models in the terms of that. Forget medicine, forget neurosurgery. We need to be good people. If we are good examples, we set an example for the next generation to come, and that's more important than anything we're ever doing. So wherever you are, make sure that you champion inclusivity and champion and help people who are underrepresented. I'm not trying to put brands. It doesn't matter. We need to help people with talent. That's all it matters, right? It's so simple. If somebody needs help, and if it's a genuine cause, go help. I know you have 100 other things to do, but know that you are a foreigner in this country, and they have given you an opportunity. And when you are in a place where you can provide an opportunity, do that. Be the bigger person. And that's what you need to learn from people like Q, Dr. Lawton, Dr. Carter, because they are the people who have reached their goal. They earn millions, and they can just enjoy that. But they are not just doing that, and know why they are not just doing that, because they are the champions of inclusivity. And make sure you learn those traits. Not just neurosurgery, not just research. Understand and see how they are as humans. And that is more inspiring than what their accomplishments can ever speak for. When Dr. Carter sits with you and talks, he talks to you as if you are his person, and he has 200 other people to care about, but he cares about every single one of them, and that's what differentiates. So observe these things in people, and it's so inspiring, and it's so inspiring. Yeah.
Honestly, I think we're all touched by just getting to know you, Dr. Anudeep, through this 1 hour. We all feel so connected. And I think Mission Brain as a platform is doing just the same. We're being so inclusive. We have our great friends from Mission Brain India West right here. Soumya, we have, everyone from different chapters. And it's honestly, it's so nice that Dr. Shreya, Dr. Swati, Dr. Kaushik all actually took us under their wings. And we're all, coming together as a cohort and, coming and moving forward, things in healthcare, things in research. And I would love to see all of us, take up big roles in the future and work together and make the world.
Yeah. I was just telling Swati that, I also want to be a part of this group and I really want to help because, Dr. Q is in a different level of his life. I am in residency, so I have a little bit of resources from my program. Dr. Chen, who is my chairman, is an amazing human being. And he also wanted to, help students from underrepresented countries or, he's a champion. He's an advocate of talent as well. So, I think as a group we are stronger, and it's so amazing. Or else, how would I even meet all of you with similar thoughts? So, we'll definitely connect more, and we should take up some small projects that can really help the country, help neurosurgical care, help training, and also help each other in the process to get to our next levels. I think it's a good platform for all these things, and I'm very glad that Swati invited me, and that is the reason I wanted to connect with you, because it's not just to tell my story, but also it's a great opportunity for me to connect with you and be a part of your group as well.
Yes, Dr. Anudeep, I think we are more than happy to have you on board with us.
Yeah.
And I think it's officially you are inducted to our team as a member. Definitely, we are happy. Yes, and definitely we are looking forward to the future projects together of what we can do.
Definitely.
Yes, and to all the people watching today, from all of these different chapters and different parts of the world, what is the one message that you will want to give them, and what is the take-home message that you want to give them to all the students who are aspiring to be in neurosurgery or just in a surgery field? Mm-hmm. What do you want to tell them?
So the one thing I want to tell you, again, kind of been the tone of my meeting or this interview, is that neurosurgery research clinical is a very small aspect of growth. Make sure you're good human beings before anything else. Make sure you are kind, make sure you're enthusiastic, and make sure you are great people before you are great researchers or great clinicians. And know that a good balance between all these traits is what will take you to the next stage. And we are blessed with great, inspiring personalities all around us. And it can be Dr. Q, or it can be a nurse, or it can be a janitor. It doesn't matter who is the person telling you and teaching you. Know to respect people, and know to be that sponge to absorb knowledge, absorb behaviors, absorb communication skills. You just have to be open and take in all those things. And when you take in something from somebody, just go back and tell, thank you for teaching me this, thank you for telling me this. That sense of gratitude also takes you a long way. Research, you'll figure out. Clinical, you'll figure out. The training is set for you to perfect those skills. But who you are as human beings, there's no curriculum. There is no process that's set for you to be good people. And that's something that you have to actively work. And I think that's more important than anything and can ever be. So make sure you are good human beings before you are good neurosurgeons, because you cannot be a good neurosurgeon without being a good human being.
Absolutely. Amen to that. So today we have also presidents of other chapters, Dr. Soumya, Dr. Anmol. Guys, do you have any question for Dr. Anudeep?
Um, yeah, you go.
Yeah. Good evening, Dr. Anudeep. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I'm Soumya Joshi, the regional director for Asia at the Mission Brain organization, and also the president of Mission Brain India West Zone chapter. The way you showed enthusiasm for helping the community, because basically for us, especially in Asia, we do not have such a great neurosurgeon or someone who can guide us so well. So we would love to connect with you so that we can do some exciting events in the future. And especially in India, there is a mentality that whenever we see someone from India in the states or in any foreign countries having a very good position in a hospital, they would be so happy that yes, he is our role model. We need to follow them. So that was a great aura from your side. And I also wanted to ask you one thing, that currently in India, there is the undergraduate students love to attend skill-based sessions for surgery or something. So is it possible to organize one global surgical workshop or something for the undergraduate students, like a skill-based something?
That's definitely feasible. So we can definitely work on that. There are a couple of ways to go about it. First, as an undergraduate, you need to have some basic skills in some basic, things like NG tubes, IVs, things that you encounter as interns or early on in your practice, and there are more focused sessions. And I think we can definitely, again, I think, thanks to Zoom and sessions like that, we have a feasibility of doing that. We can definitely work on that. I think that's a great idea. And I think, this also can be a platform where people can present, have a kind of meetings to talk about science and talk about problems that, challenges, and like trying to address those challenges specifically to, for example, if there is an issue that, for example, you say, I don't know which one to like bring up, but for example, if it's like, how to approach internships or how to approach something, you can have more focused sessions too, based on what the problems are. And another thing that I wanted to highlight is Dr. Chen, who is my chair at Minnesota. He wanted to, understand why there is this conception or misconception that international students are not as good candidates, because we are actually looking into the data to see, what are the numbers? Why is it that programs are not, not flexible to take international applicants? Because they like spend time doing research, spend time doing clinically. So probably like we wanted to send a survey based questionnaire to like understand what kind of difficulties that we have, because if I tell him the problems, it's going to be my problems. It'll not be something that that all of us are facing, right? For example, we don't have opportunities to get internships, right? And sub-internships, right? Because they're not offering, and there are issues where home students are getting more preference, and people have pointed out that there is VSLO, where you need your institution should be registered to VSLO. These are problems that each of you are facing on an individual level, but there is no, representation. So Dr. Chen was like, let's try to understand that and let's help talent. So I'll reach out to all of you to get a little bit of, feedback into what the problems are, and, from what I can do and from what Dr. Chen can do, we will try our best to create opportunities. So, that's something that we were actually thinking, and it'll take a little bit of time to materialize, but again, yeah.
Yes, we will surely work on that. Thank you so much, Dr. Anudeep.
So hi, I'm Anmol Mohan. I'm the the president of Mission Brain Pakistan chapter, and it was lovely hearing you and your experience, like how you tackled everything in your life, and there you are right now. So there is a question that we have in mind from Mission Brain Pakistan, that we are very discouraged from people around us to apply for more competitive residencies like dermatology or radiology or gynecology, because the representation of Asians there is not reflected. So we either go for medicine or pediatrics or pathology. So how can we make sure that if somebody is interested in, as say, dermatology, what should we do in order to make sure that we get a position there?
So, firstly, you're right that there is a lot of discouragement that we all face throughout our journeys to get to such places. I've had so many people who said that it's not feasible, it's not possible. But when somebody says that, I don't talk to them again so that they don't tell me the same thing again. So, kidding aside, but what I mean to say is that the reason I am talking, the reason people like me are coming out to speak is to tell that it's feasible, right? It's not publicity, but it's to tell you that it's doable. And it's also to tell you what it takes to do, right? The reason why people are not pursuing the difficult paths is because there is an easier path, right? And you always know the path that's frequently taken, but the road not taken is something that people cannot talk about because they've never walked those paths. And people who walk those paths are too busy to talk about it and to, answer day-to-day questions. And that's the reason why we wanted to talk to you, to tell you, if somebody is telling it's not feasible, don't listen to them. It's doable, it's feasible. But I also wanted to tell you that the reason why people are telling it's hard is because it is hard. Know that it's hard and know that it takes a lot to prove. And don't ever feel that it's unfair, that you have to go through years of research, years of clinical practice to even get to residency. Because all that is making you so good. You are becoming such a talent during that process. And respect that part of these journeys, that all these difficulties are only making you so much better. And when you compare yourself to your peer in your residency, you have been through a lot. You have such emotional stability. You have such emotional talent. You have such research talent. You are a strong powerhouse right now. So when you are able to get through the challenges of residency and USMLE and get to dermatology or psychiatry or interventional radiology, you become such a talent. And know that if you want something big, you got to earn it. If there are difficulties, overcome it, right? And at the end, you can keep blaming, you can keep pointing fingers, you can spend time doing that, or you can actually do it. So it's up to you to decide which way to go. So again, I'm trying to tell you it's doable. How you do it, you have the pieces of puzzle. So it takes time to sit and figure out how to get that done. Nobody is going to tell you how to do things the right way on a day-to-day basis. The experiences are going to tell you. Sometimes it's a friendly advice. Sometimes it's a slap on the face. You got to take it. You got to brush it off. You got to walk. So it's hard, but you get all the way more better at the end of the journey. So I'm always a believer of respecting the journey more than identifying the problems and blaming the problems. And the good thing is, there are not a lot of people who've made it in dermatology or neurosurgery or stuff like that. So, you know what? If you don't have too much advice, that's fine too, because, too much advice is also not good sometimes. Just know the big pieces and try to get it together, right? Who cares? Figure it out. That's the fun part of it, Yeah.
All right. So we have two more questions. I'm sorry if I'm taking a lot of your time. So
No, that's
we
fine.
are very, like, all the medical students and colleges are very research oriented, because from the past 5 years we have like a lot of organizations which are teaching research. So I had my first
Mhm.
research published when I was in second year in my university, but I'm seeing my younger juniors who are not even in medical schools right now. They're doing the pre-med in the 11th standard or 12th standard, and they have meta-analysis at this point. So, just had a question, like, what amount of research papers do you want to see in a CV for in order to have this interview at a residency program?
Again, it's never the numbers, but it's also the breadth of experience that you have.
Yeah, because the
Sorry.
thing, since step one has become pass or fail, the emphasis
Yeah.
on your CV and your step two score has become more. So,
Yeah.
what do you?
So, mhm. So first, you need to get good scores on step two. Period. Step one is pass fail. You'll pass. That's fine. Step two is important. Focus on it. Get things right. Second, before you approach for research, make sure you spend time writing at least three to five papers. That's to get your feet wet. Okay. And again, publishing in good journals mean that you have to put out quality product. So you need to work, find proper questions, find proper mentors. So use that medical school time to at least get 3 to 5 papers, to attend at least 3 to 5 conferences virtually or in person. Have certain objective numbers so that you have some target to aim. That helps you a little. So use your time, and if there is somebody who is willing to offer you some courses, there are a lot of courses on Coursera which are absolutely free. You don't need to pay dollars, money to learn statistics and stuff. There are free online courses on Coursera, basic statistics courses, which you can actually take from the comfort of your home, and you put them on your CV. So when you use such platforms, you will be able to understand what resources are out there, and you can make yourself equipped with such talents. So, and they'll all be useful when you actually apply and talk, because when somebody is interviewing, they want to know what effort that you've put before they actually give you a job. So these are some things that you can do before you actually apply.
All right. And the last question we had was, there are many aspiring neurosurgeons and neurologists that are in Pakistan right now. And not many of them know about the Zoom meeting that we are having right now. So as having better connection with the Pakistani Medical Association here, can we schedule another meeting probably when you're free in next month? That can be
Definitely, yeah, definitely. If you feel that this is useful and this can reach to a different sector of people who are also interested, definitely we can have another session and we can definitely talk.
That would be great. And yeah, I would just say thank you for inspiring us, and thank you, Dr. Shreya Sriram, for giving us this platform, for introducing us to Mission Rain as an organization, and keeping us all connected here.
Thank you, Anmol. I think it's very important. When I heard about this match story first, right? The first thing that came to my mind was, I was so happy. It felt so personal. As an IMG, I know how it feels and how unheard it was at that time. So it was important for me to share your story, or just witness what your journey has been to the members and other neurologists or neurosurgeons that are there in our group. So that was the main motive of this group. And yes, and we are much more excited because you have joined us, and we are thrilled for the future events that are coming by. Thank you for your time and support. I think it means a lot to us. And what you have told today is very profound. I think we'll have to think it through, whatever you said, I think we'll have we need a whole day to process it. It was very profound and yes, moving indeed. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anudeep. I think it's been a pleasure to have you here, and it really was an eye-opening session. And we have so much enthusiasm from all the chapters, West Zone chapter, Pakistan chapter, and I can see so many faces in the audience who are constantly nodding and laughing at all the small. And it's wonderful to have this community, and I think it's great. We can plan further events and take this further. And I'd also like to thank our chapter, Dr. Shreya, Dr. Kaushik, Swati, and everyone on board. And let's just get the wheels running and continue this. Thank you so much for your time again, Dr. Anudeep, and it really means the world that you joined us in our chapter. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure connecting with all of you and knowing all of you. Just such happy faces, smiling, enthusiastic. It just reminds me of the energy that I had when I started off my journey, and you all have absolutely what it takes. So it's hard, but it's gonna be great. So believe in yourself, and you're all gonna do great. And excited for future opportunities to work with you all. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Recording stopped.
Okay, that went pretty well.